Hey, hey, hello and welcome! Congratulations, Eagle, snatching the first. Whoa! Hello, hello. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How nice we have it. Hmm? Sure, sure. My voice feels a little better now. I felt yesterday, I felt my voice like it was like I was feeling my throat the whole day. It didn't hurt. It was just like, you know, it was just ing at me all day. But now when I talk now, I'm like, no, this is fine. I was like, oh, do I have to cancel stream tomorrow? What the fuck? No. Because all I do is read. Yes. But it's fine, it's good. Well, good. Now, when I talk, it sounds worse just because of that, but I can't feel the same annoying feeling. So that's very good. So I believe that at least a reading will be completely fine. So that's what I've decided. We will read and see how it goes. Ah. Oh, I haven't switched screens. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Hello! Here I am. I am here. And then we'll see if we have time for some Valhalla. Or not, depends on voice. Hello! Cooked bacon, ooh. Welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome in. If you do not know, we are going to read A Soldier's Life by Always Rolls a 1. And we will start off on chapter 101 today. All previous chapters are on my YouTube channel if you're not caught up, or if you just wanna fucking start at chapter 101, that's completely fine as well. Or maybe you've already listened to all of them and you're already like, oh, please, I've already read this novel so many times. Don't even talk to me about chapter 101. Anyway goes. I used to listen to your Shadow Slave VODs. This is my first time waking up in time for your stream. Aye! Hell yeah! I'm still reading Shadow Slave, by the way, off stream. I'm pretty far now, I would say. I have like 1,000 chapters left. A little less. I'm on 17,000 something. Fucking, I'm starting at whatever chapter you said. Yes, 101. The perfect chapter to start with, right? And as usual, as we did back when we read Shadow Slave, we always do a recap of what happened last time, so you will have some meat on your bones. Is that how you say it? Is that a saying? I feel like that's a saying. But yes, this novel is also very cool. I have a lot of fun with it as well. And I think you will enjoy your time too. But cool to see you here. You made it for the first time live. Holy shit. What an honor. You just had to take my line before. As I always do when it's live. Totally not just having morning sniffles. It's good. Okay. So stupid. Such a stupid joke. Yawn, and then it's recap. Last time on A Soldier's Life. Decimus joins us after Adrian promises him that Eric will be his assistant. On the way out of town, they meet an Edin that Eric secretly kills and gets an essence from. We also get a Rena flashback where we get introduced to all of our asshole teachers. Eric meets another mage company that he spars with, but who cares about any of that because the star of the show is back, Ginger! Ginger the horse! She's here! That's all that matters. 100%. So let's be with Ginger forever and feed her as many apples as she wants. Chapter 101. Nighttime Visitors. The heavy, thick rain was also loud. We all pulled out oiled cloaks and wrapped ourselves tight. Even under the cloak, my metal helmet echoed a constant cadence of thunks as we pressed on. My immediate thought was remembering our raft trip from the capital. This rain was similar, except that it now also had a chill to it. Even with my oiled cloak wrapped tight, my clothes were drenched, and it drained my body heat, and I shivered. Blaze, to my left, was not faring any better. I could not see anyone else clearly. We walked for 2 hours and finally reached a town with an inn and stable. Adrian did not hesitate to stop. Once we were in the stable, we could hear Adrian's voice clearly. Feels unnatural. Too much rain, too fast. Like when the river flooded on our way to Sobrel. Is the mage closed then? Lucian said, shivering. Hard to tell with weather magic. It might be a powerful elemental or a mage causing it, and he could be standing next to you or 50 miles away. He's definitely aiming to destroy the fields. The last harvest is this month, and dozens of farms are along this road. It is going to be a hard winter this year, Adrian said morosely. A man came crashing into the stable. He had been running to avoid the rain. Thought I saw someone out here. Legionnaires, are you staying? This rain seems perilous to travel in. Adrian nodded reluctantly, as we had only traveled half a day. The man smiled. A large copper for each horse includes feed tonight, and tomorrow morning. You will have to muck your own stalls. The stable boy lives a half a mile away and will not be in tonight. Rooms? Adrian asked. 2 left, 2 beds each. A merchant guard is already taking up the common room. You can sleep in the loft here, free if you like, the man offered. I looked up to see large bales of straw along a central walkway above. Adrian sorted us. Decimus and Scholar Fabian can take 1 room. Blaze and I the other. Lucian and Eric take care of the horses. The loft is yours tonight. They left us, and Lucian and I used glowstones to hang everything we could to dry them out. All 10 stalls had 1 or 2 horses, so the noise and scents would be unpleasant tonight. You know Larine has a spell form that could dry these things in seconds, I told Lucian, trying to make conversation. Oh, he thinks about Larine. He's like, oh, if only Larine would be here, she could dry these. Oh, that's cute. And she was saying that it was useless. Oh. The maid the Duchess assigned you, he asked, and I confirmed with a nod. Not as pretty as the one Colm had assigned, but one of the nicer ones, he said. I was assigned a younger man, Heath. He's good at his job, but not someone I care to keep my bed warm at night. There was maybe a sense of jealousy in his words. Are the others indulging with their servants? I asked as carefully as possible. What the fuck? He just wants to know Castile. Like, he's like, I saw Castile. Most. The Duchess is doing her best to make her company as happy as possible. Everyone is certainly working harder because of it, Lucian replied, while emptying the packs that had accumulated water on the inside. I had the unenviable tasks of mucking the 3 stalls. Unenviable. Tasks of mucking the 3 stalls, shaking the horses' shoes, and cleaning the packed clay with a pick. Lucien began to rub them down, getting as much water off as possible. It took a good hour before the 7 horses were cared for. Blaze brought us steaming bowls of chicken and carrot soup. The inn is a small, converted house. You are not missing much other than the fire. The hot soup bowl warmed my hands as I tilted the bowl to my mouth. The soup seemed mostly broth, but it was the heat warming me from the inside out that I craved. Blaze waited till we finished before asking if we wanted another bowl, which we both declined. It had been a large bowl, almost half a gallon. The rain had not slowed and echoed on the roof of the stables. After Blaze left, we checked out the loft. The loft ran the length of the stables over the center walkway with openings above the stalls. Rough-cut boards made up the floor. There was baled straw at one end. Tiny grains of black rice were everywhere. Well, not rice, mouse and ratchet. Lucien was already making a hand broom with the straw to sweep an area clean. I did likewise near the ladders. Hello, Bakiek! Welcome, welcome. We're on the first chapter of the day. Wish I had a thermal stone instead of a glowstone, Lucien mumbled as he removed his wet clothes and hung them in the rafters. He had just one long dry shift in his bag that he put on while shivering. At least the roof is not leaking. His bedroll was obviously wet. I asked, "What is a thermal stone? Is it for making fires?" Well, I would assume that it produced heat at least. Can be. Depends on how hot the stone is artifice to get. They are a bit too heavy to carry around. I cannot channel ether anyway. You're charge it with ether and it emits heat for a few hours. The first mage company I was in, there was a legionnaire who carried a fist-sized one with him. It was weak, but he kept it in his bedroll at night. We set up our damp bedding. "Can you charge this?" He tossed me his glowstone, and I did it as requested before sending it back. "We should leave them out to keep the mice at bay," Lucien advised. I nodded and placed the glowstone on either side of me. I stripped as well, hanging my wet laundry, but Lucien was already trying to sleep, so I took out the dry tunic and sent the wet one to my storage. My dry tunic was quickly dampened in the wet bedroll from my pack. I had one other bedroll in my dimensional space, but it was the heavy one I had taken from the first citizen Justin when I escorted him with the griffin egg. Lucien was soon snoring, and I considered using the amulet, but decided against it. The pounding rain created white noise, and I drifted off. My dreams were of being swept down a river and over a waterfall and drowning. When I hit the bottom, I was bouncing on the rocks. My eyes shot open. The horses were kicking their stalls, shaking the loft, and neighing in fear of something. I put on my helm and grabbed my sheathed sword. My spear was left below. Lucien was alert as well, as I could see him sitting up. The rain was still heavy and loud, and I could see some minor flooding in the horse stalls, but that was not what was spooking the horses. From my perch, I could see the stable doors swinging open. The light from a glowstone illuminated the stables poorly. I remained still and waited, as did Lucien. Oh my god, I was scared. Who's this? Whatever shadow was in the doorway was short and humanoid, maybe a child. Okay. The creature cautiously entered, and enough light illuminated the creature for me to identify it. It was a familiar creature, a goblin. This goblin did not have any weapons and was wearing rags. It also had greenish skin, not the brown skin of the ones I had fought before. Even though the light was up in the loft, the creature never looked up as it entered. It was cautiously moving toward our packs. Lucien gave me the hand sign that I should wait. The loft had 2 ladders, and both were near me and a distance away from Lucien. He was moving to the edge over the stalls, and was going to descend that way to cut off the goblin's retreat. A second, and then a third green goblin entered. Wait, when were there 2? Oh, a second, and then a third goblin. I thought it took a second, and then a third goblin entered. I didn't understand that it was a second one and a third one. I was so confused. I was like, huh? A second, and then a third green goblin entered. The heavy rain was masking any sound we made, but Lucien's movement created shifting shadows, and the last goblin in line looked up. It fled out the door as Lucien swung down and blocked the other 2 from escaping. I descended quickly, and the 2 were stuck between us. My blade was drawn, but neither of the goblins had any weapons. Then one of them threw a small 3-inch knife from inside the folds of its rags. It stood defiantly facing me. The other one faced Lucian, but did not pull weapons, but hissed angrily at him. It actually looked to be shaking in fear. Aww! I talked loud enough to be heard over the rain. Never seen green goblins before. They are burrowers and scavengers. We will be doing the locals a favor by eliminating this pair. Too bad more did not enter for us to trap, he replied. My goblin lunged, and my blade pierced its skull through the eye, as I had a much longer reach. I feel bad for them. Like, I understand that they are like pests in this world, but I'm like, it's just immediately like, they don't have any weapon. They're so scared. And he's like, yeah, anyway. Pierced its skull through the eye. Ugh. I flicked it down with my blade and smoothly cut into the neck of the other goblin facing Lucian. Lucian relaxed and turned to the door. I inspected the small creatures. Their bodies were clean from the rain and looked thin and frail. They were not as large as the brown ones I had fought in Legion training. Lucian approached and inspected the bodies. They either got flooded out or they come by here regularly. Most likely they will not be coming back tonight, having lost 2 of their number. Should we go and tell Adrian? I asked. Lucian looked through the crack in the door. It was still pouring outside. No, it can wait till morning. They are just nuisances. We will toss these 2 outside, so the blood does not continue to get the horses riled up. The horses were still anxious in their stalls. The warmounts, who had alerted us, were calm now. I think it was Ginger who had kicked to wake us up. Of course it was. And of course Eric would be like, it was my horse, actually. Not caring that Lucian saw, I gave each another apple and rubbed them between the ears. Lucian tossed both bodies outside. They looked pretty light by the ease with which he threw them. The adrenaline of combat faded, and I thought about the collector, but decided this one was a lost cause with Lucian here. We both lay down again, but I could not sleep. Lucian was snoring softly in no time. I stayed up waiting and listening to the rain. About 2 hours after the goblins' raid, the rain suddenly stopped. The quiet felt odd after hours of hard rain and the constant noise. The horses shifted every few moments in their stall, but otherwise it was quiet except for some dripping sounds. I climbed down quietly and looked outside. The goblin bodies were gone. Maybe their companions took them. It was still hours before sunrise, but the blue moon was giving light through thinning clouds. Standing puddles of still water were causing weird reflections of the moon. The air was warmer, more humid as well. Everything good down there? Lucian asked from above me, looking over the edge. I guess I had not been as quiet as I had thought. Yeah, it just seems eerie quiet now. The goblin bodies are gone. I'm going to get suited and wait till morning in my armor, I said, while looking out across the road toward the town buildings. There were a few dim lights in the windows, but I did not see any movement. Lucian groaned in disappointment as he started to dress as well. Well, he doesn't have to follow. Putting on cold, damp clothes is never fun. Lucian was mumbling to himself, and I just suffered through the wet clothes. We were dressed and sitting down by the stalls. Lucian asked, "Do you have another apple?" I handed him one. While he was munching away, I asked, "Does everything just feel off to you?" Between bites, he answered, "Magical weather does that. Meddling with weather on this scale will cause problems hundreds of miles away. I don't know what, but I heard a desert on another continent was made because a king wanted his garden watered daily." Oh. "At least it brought warmer weather," I noted. Lucian shrugged. As soon as the sky turned grey, signaling the sun's immediate arrival, we went to the inn. Blaze was right. This was a small, converted house. A hearty fire was burning in the tiny common room, and 4 men were curled up in front of it. Lucian did not care if he woke them, and moved a table and pair of chairs by the fire for us. The men on the floor cursed us, but moved out of the way to sleep elsewhere. The noise brought the innkeeper from the tiny kitchen in the back. We soon had a breakfast of dense biscuits and eggs scrambled with onion. As we ate, Adrian came down the stairs and grabbed a chair to join us. Any trouble last night? Lucian talked through a mouthful. Some green goblin thieves. Eric handled 2 of them and the rest ran off. Only saw 3. Adrian nodded, unconcerned. Must have had their burrows flooded out and were hungry. The innkeeper did not mention any goblin problems last night at dinner. The innkeeper was close and placed a plate of biscuits and eggs in front of Adrian. The innkeeper noted. Some local farms have been missing some chickens, but no goblin problems reported, Legionnaire. Adrian nodded to him in thanks. Can I get another plate? Double portion this time, I asked, handing him 2 large copper and my empty plate. I was guessing that was more than enough based on his grateful smile. He brought a plate stacked with scrambled eggs and biscuits and a pitcher of weak ale for me. Adrian poured himself a drink from the pitcher. As I ate, Adrian and Lucian talked about the goblins. Lace joined us as I finished the plate. Soon the alchemist, still red, and the scholar came down. Lucian and I went and readied the horses. An hour later, we were on the road heading east. The town had been on a hill of the road and fared well in the heavy rain. The road was packed with clay and dirt. Some standing puddles were up to 2 feet deep, and a gorged stream was high at a stone bridge crossing. The reluctant riding horses had to be led across by their reins. The bridge crossing was the only danger we encountered in the morning. The rain had not reached more than 20 miles from our town. Adrian pushed us as hard as the alchemist could handle. I kept a close eye on Ginger behind me on the lead line. She was a tough horse and kept up with our party. She had a limp, but Lucian assured me it was not affecting her overall health. Oh. We stayed in an inn in a town. We stayed in an inn in a town, or a city each of the following nights. I was usually with Blaze and Lucian, while Adrian shared a room with our charges. At night, I massaged Ginger's muscles at Lucian's instruction to help the tightness in her hindquarters from the damaged tissue. During the day, I ended up riding mostly beside the scholar, as I seemed to be the only one with patience enough to listen to him. He talked about his specialization, the Elven language. I listened and even took the time to learn a few words and phrases, but I thought the alchemist liked him as well, because they were talking and shit, but maybe the alchemist was like, okay, I'm done. Maybe it got too much for him as well. Most nights, I was in the dreamscape for 4 or 5 hours, splitting time between studying the Tsinga books, the time affinity spell form, and practicing with the dreamscape manifestations of Constantine, Adrian, and Javier. We reached the city of Lul in 5 days and stayed the night in the Legion Hall. Even the alchemists and scholars stayed in the hall. It was breaking the rules, but Adrian did not care as the hall was mostly empty. This stop put us just 40 miles from Sobral. The alchemist's skin was fading daily, and he was more pink than red after the week we traveled with him. I think he was relieved that the red was actually fading, and he swore he would get back at the old alchemist in Lorvo who did this to him. Adrian informed us that he planned to push the last 40 miles the next day, eager to end this recruitment assignment. Adrian is done. I've enjoyed it. Take me home, country road, to the place with Loreen and Castile is there, and the giant, maybe if we collect herbs. Thank you. Anyway. Chapter 102. Surprise Awakening. Adrian pushed us to the final stretch of 40 miles to Sobral. Not so much us, as we had gotten our riding legs, but Decimus was still struggling since it was his first time riding more than an hour at a time. The alchemist had almost gotten his riding legs when we reached Sobral. At least he had stopped moaning every time Adrian ordered a light trot. I hope I had not been that bad while learning to ride. I mean, Eric just takes a lot of shit. I think he was better than this. The road had that déjà vu feeling when traveling somewhere you have been before, but in the opposite direction. Around midday and about 15 miles from Sobral, we passed 2 carts of a miserable-looking farmer heading in our direction with 3 teenage children helping him. Adrian trotted up to them and asked, "Any trouble in the area?" The men and children looked in rough shape, with filthy clothes and dirt marring their features. The older farmer grunted. "A tornado tore through the fields." He indicated and kicked his cart. "This is all that is left." Adrian shifted uncomfortably in his saddle. "How many fields were hit?" I noticed he had a bandaged and braced knee and was limping when I approached on Atlas. "All of them," he lamented. "Mine and my 2 neighbors, at least. Lost most of our livestock as well, Legionnaire. Gonna sell what we can in Sorbol before trying to rebuild with my children." He looked like a beaten man, and the 2 boys and his daughter would not make eye contact with any of us. I could see why if everything you worked for was ripped from you. I noticed his cart had some butchered meat, bundles of carrots, and some other field crops he salvaged. I leaned forward in my saddle. "Sir, my horses love carrots. Can I purchase that bundle there?" I summoned a large silver to my hand and tossed it gently at him before he could respond. He caught it inexpertly and stared in disbelief at the coin and then the carrots. He couldn't believe I was offering 10 silver for something that would cost 2 or 3 copper at most. He finally understood my charity and retrieved and handed me the dozen large carrots. Atlas was excited as the carrots passed close to his head, and Ginger walked up her lead line to sniff the carrots in my lap. Lucian nodded to me. "You're a good man, Eric." I shrugged, brushing it off. I was out of apples. That was not true, as I had about a dozen left, but he did not need to know that. Adrian also tossed the farmer a large silver. "Give Eric another bundle. We do not want Eric to be the only generous one today." Lucian and Blaze followed suit. 2 more large silver tossed and received. How many carrots did this man have? As we rode on, I had 4 bundles of carrots awkwardly in my arms. "Do I have to be the one to carry all of these?" Adrian smirked. "It was your idea, Legionnaire. Deal with the consequences." Fair. Over the last 15 miles to Sobrel, the horses ate well. Sobrel was different when we returned. The farmers we passed were not the only ones whom the weather had hit hard. Carts stuffed high with personal possessions were outside the city, and makeshift camps were set up. Dirty peasants were making way the best they could. Adrian diverted and rode up and talked to the first group, 2 old men with 3 women and 5 children. We waited while he talked with them, and then he rode back to us. Refugees from some farms to the west like the farmers we passed. Also, some war refugees from Macha and Vesov. The Bardaradians crossed over from Lordaery into Vesov 300 miles south of Macha, Adrian told us. Adrian shook his head remorsefully. Vesov has nothing of value. They probably are lashing out after Macha. Same with unleashing elementals and monstrosities across the Empire. We walked up to the citadel, and 4 men in clean uniforms guarded the gate. One asked formally, "State your business in the citadel of Duchess Veronica Angela." Adrian rode forward and patiently answered, "Adrian of Mage Castile's company in returning from duty with an alchemist and scholar, all men safe and unharmed." One of the guards took off at a jog to inform his superior, and he returned a few minutes later. We were waved through. Adrian announced, "I will bring alchemist Decimus and scholar Fabian to the Duchess. Blaze go care for the equipment, and Lucian and Eric take care for the horses." There were actually 2 stable boys in the stables, and a half-dozen new horses. After a cursory inspection of the new horses, Lucian commented, "Workhorses. The Duchess probably bought them for the refugees. Not bad stock, but not war horses." I worked to get the packs off so Blaze could take them in, and then Lucian and I supervised the stable boys as they cared for the horses. Lucian started to teach them the proper way of caring for a mount. The boys, we learned, were some refugees from Macha that the Duchess had taken into her service. The younger boy explained, "We fled Macha before the Bardaradian army came. We were staying with family in Lignum when the word came that Macha was in ruins. My father's candle shop was destroyed, so we couldn't go back. Word came the Duchess of Sorbel was hiring any and all workers 2 weeks ago, so we traveled here with a caravan." I understood that it was a smart move on the Duchess' part, except that food would be scarce this winter, and she would not be able to feed her increased population. After the horses were settled, I told the two stable hands, "This girl here is Ginger. She is my horse. I will be paying for her lodging and feed. No one rides her but me. Also, if one of you could run into the city, fetch the old healer, and bring him to heal her, I would appreciate it. Tell him I will pay his price." I handed each a large copper as a reminder. One of the boys rushed off, and Lucian smirked. "You keep spending your coin like that, and you will have a line of plebeians every time you step outside." "Perhaps," I said, sneaking Ginger an apple when Lucian's back was turned. Atlas looked bewildered. After all, he was the one who had carried me for the last 2 weeks. I also got him Atlas, the horse. How dare you? What about me? Oh my god, these horses. I swear to god. Oh. I also got him an apple to placate him and address Lucian. "But you know we could die tomorrow, and coin is no good to a dead man." He shrugged and nodded in agreement. I headed up to my room with my equipment, looking forward to a long bath and hopefully some time with Lorene after I was clean. There were a lot of new faces in the halls of the Citadel. Linus, the company medic, was walking toward me. "Eric, you made it back in one piece." We clasped forearms in a greeting. "Guess it was not too adventurous if you're all back." "Not too many problems, just a few goblins and an Eden," I said casually. He patted my shoulder. "You have a good sense of humor, Eric." "I have to go work in the clinic for the refugees tonight. I will see you tomorrow at breakfast." There was no point trying to convince him we fought an Eden. Lorene was not in my room, and I guessed she was off doing other duties. Or doing others. Oh, no, Lorene, no. No, Lorene. An armor stand was in the room, holding a new set of Legion armor. Just the resin-treated leather variant, not the metal plates the Volunteer Legion received. It looked new, and I recalled Castile saying the Duchess should get it for me as a reward for killing the Manticore on her hands. Lance. On her hands. A black cape was draped over the shoulders. Ooh. I removed the cape. To see the armor better. Well, the cape felt off. Not cloth, but more like soft, worked leather. It had a hood and fit over the armor, but could be worn without it. This must be the cloak maybe it made me from the Manticore wings. Yeah, right. I stripped off my armor and tried it on. Without the armor, the cloak could be worn like a duster. What the fuck is a duster? He must have dyed it black, which was a fitting color. He had promised me one other thing, but I did not see it here. Oh, the ball sacks. I compared my old and new armor, and it looked like home, or whoever assembled it, had gotten the sizes close to correct. I stripped in the bathroom and crossed my fingers as I turned on the water. It was not hot, but satisfyingly warm. Good enough for a soak. I used a washcloth to clean off most of the road dirt. After I was clean, I lay back in the tub to relax. I heard the door open after a time and yelled, "Lorene, I'm in here. You can join me." Just because he said this now, it's not going to be Lorene. I promise you, it's not going to be Lorene. It could be Castile, it could be, probably Constantine, because it's always Constantine. Always Constantine. Or like Adrian Delmar, it will be someone else. It's not Lorene. Maybe I sounded a little too excited, but that excitement was quickly dashed. "Constantine, see?" This has to. Wandered in with Maviat on his heels. Oh, Maviat as well. Hello. The enormous Goliath towering over the short Constantine. "I think I will pass on joining you, Eric. The water looks filthy." Constantine smirked at my disappointment of the lack of female companionship. "Just heard you fought an Eden with Adrian. He said you refused to run and fought beside him." I ignored Constantine and addressed Maviat. "Love the cloak, Maviat. Black is the perfect color." Maviat beamed. Aww, cute. "It is the nicest thing I have ever made." Oh, my heart, dude. Oh, Maviat. Such a cutie. Got the black ink from a traveling merchant. He reached to his belt and held up a large black pouch. "There's the balls. Still working on this for you. I'm waiting for some iced drake hide from the capital through the lining, but it came out well." He stuffed his massive hand inside, and the pouch fitted quite snugly. "It is soft and supple. I will give it to you once I have adhered it to the drake lining. Thank you, Mavian. I look forward to receiving your gift. How are Trek and Leonis? I asked, after the other wardens, still ignoring Constantine to his bemusement. The large man sat at the table, and it groaned in protest. It was made for sorting clothes, not supporting a Goliath. He took one last showing of the pouch. The size of this pouch will be a great sign of your prowess among my clans. He secured the incomplete sack on his belt. He motioned to Constantine. He helped me get Leonis to the city, and he was healed, as were my lingering injuries. The other 2 manticores were killed 5 days ago, 300 miles northwest. Leonis and Trek are now helping with the province markers. Constantine was done waiting on the reunion and intruded on the conversation. Your servant, Larine, is helping in the city feeding the refugees. She will be back late. You have been given 3 days off by Castile. Holy 3 days! I feel like we've gotten 1 day before and that's it. What? I sensed a butt coming, oh, of course, and tried to get out of whatever Constantine had planned for me. Great. I found my first horse and she needs healing and some care. I hope to get her ride-worthy again and take her on some rides in the woods while foraging for the alchemist. Constantine broke into a grin. That is great news! It was like I had fallen into a trap. The Duchess wants the alchemist working as soon as possible. You can talk with him to see what he needs to start brewing and take your horse out riding. He's set up in the Northwest Tower. I thought Castile asked you to appease the alchemist after bringing supplies to the men working in the woods. Maybe its deep voice questioned Constantine with confusion in his tone. Eric is already planning to be out there, so he can handle it. Fuck you. He also has the dimensional space, not me. You can join him, maybe, after you run supplies out to the men digging and laying the marker stones. Constantine delegated all his orders out to Maviath and I. What are you going to do while we handle your assignments? I asked the smug Constantine. Constantine hedged a bit. I am going to look for signs of Traeliorn Kelleran. The name tickled something in my memory. Yeah, I've read this before. The Elven Summoner. Ah, right. You know where he is? He's definitely on this side of the Akentaro River. The Central Empire has a new monstrosity appearing every week. I may not be able to find him, but I will look for signs of him. Maybe find a campsite he used or his ritual circle for summoning, he elaborated. What about the hounds? Is that not what they do? I asked, getting out of the Reese's tub. Constantine held up a letter. The hounds might help track a dangerous mage, but the mage companies would be called in when they are found to deal with him, or her. Cornelius asked me to search down this way. His hounds are deployed in the front and protecting the dig site, Constantine admitted. And he already has a pack that is missing, and other packs are short a hound or 2. He was mistaken if he was waiting for me to volunteer to go with him. I would take a few days gathering mushrooms, roots, leaves, and flowers, over running off to find one of the most powerful mages on the continent. One who would kill me on sight, or sick his summoning critters on me. Well, have fun. I smiled at him. Constantine hesitated momentarily before making to leave. I will. Maybe. Make sure this one does not get himself killed before I return. Are you going to let him go alone? Maybe it said, watching Constantine's back as he left. Constantine can take care of himself. We have our orders. I dressed in a light shirt and pants. Maviath, it is good to see you, but I really want to reacquaint myself with my favorite pillow. Larine. Maviath creased his brow. Is that a reference to your maid? She said she had familiarity with you. No, my pillow. I went into the bedroom to pull the griffin down pillow out of the maid bed. Maviath looked at me skeptically, but did leave. Yes. Yes. I was hungry, but sleep was overtaking me. Unfortunately, it looked like Larine was not returning tonight. I secured the Dreamscape amulet under my shirt and went in to get some practice. I spent my time studying the time spell form for slow aging tonight. I had completely forgot that we're fucking learning slow aging. Like, oh. The sooner I learned it, the younger I would be for longer. I had been studying for about 2 hours in the large plush chair with Oscar in my lap when I was suddenly ripped out of the dreamscape. Lorene was kneeling over me in a loose nightshirt, her hair cascading around my face, and holding the amulet in her hand. Oopsie. She must have felt it and pulled it from under my shirt. I immediately assumed that I lost contact with the dreamscape when the amulet left contact with my skin. She was fingering and studying the amulet in the minimal light of the fireplace. Seeing I was awake, she asked, "What is this, Eric?" It's something my mom gave me. I keep it close at night. Aw, that's so cute. Hmm? Totally. Anyway. Chapter 103. Quest for that minty clean feeling. What? Toothbrush. Totally. Lorene was kneeling on the bed, holding my amulet. I did not have a headache or any disorientation from the artifact being removed, so at least I had learned something. I could be awakened if the amulet was removed from contact with my skin without ill effects. Now I needed to deal with the curious woman. She was educated, and I assumed the runic patterns on the outside of the device told her it was magical in nature. I gave her a half-truth. It helps me sleep. It filters out the nightmares. I have oblivion pills as well. Lorene was trying to use the minimal firelight to see the device better. She had it in her palm and was running her thumb over it. I gently took it from her hand and put it back under my shirt. It was as big as a pocket watch from Earth, so it created a lump under my shirt. Lorene looked me in the eyes, flashes from the fire dancing in her green eyes. "Eric, I am glad you're back. I slept in your bed every night, hoping it would be the night you returned." This is literally what I said she was gonna say. Like, how she was gonna be like. Oh my god. Damsel in distress. She moved in and brought her soft lips to mine. The kiss lasted for a long time, and I noticed she had been busy today and had not bathed. But Eric! So, you smell? You're disgusting. Get out of my sight. I could taste the salt on her lips and smell her strong, sweaty scent. The rustic scent was not unappealing. Oh, well, okay. He likes it. When we broke the kiss, I asked, "What were you doing today?" I was attempting to distract her from the amulet. She stretched out next to me, and we faced each other on our sides. Morning breath was one thing I did not miss about being close to a woman. Oh my god! I was sure my breath was also undesirable, but that was all I could focus on while she talked. We mostly moved a few hundred bags of wheat flour into the Citadel cellars. The anti-vermin runes are strongest there, and the Duchess did not want spoilage or rats getting into it. "Who are we?" I asked, while her hands drifted to below my waist. Oh wow. Hello, someone. Welcome. Yes. Yes. There are a few of those lines in this book. I enjoy it. It's funny. But welcome. Welcome. We're in chapter 103. The other servants in the Citadel. Everyone is working to accommodate the new arrivals. Her hands got bolder, going under my clothes. We were trying to get ready to feed another 1,000 people this winter. It might even be more with how fast the refugees are arriving. She leveraged my clothes off and met my lips again. My thought as we engaged in passionate intimacy was that I would look into finding toothpaste. Oh, so we was toothpaste! Oh my god! It clicked now. Because I said toothpaste, I was like, why? And now, because of the morning breath, it's, oh, wow. Bro, I've not seen parts of this novel, but it seems like another Shadow Slave level weird. It has its similarities, I will say. It's very fun, though, to read. Sometimes I'm just like, what the fuck? Burst out laughing. Like, what happens? What is this? It's good. You should. In the morning, I overslept. and Lorene was already gone. Her day started just after the first light, when she helped serve breakfast. She also worked hard into the evening by cleaning up after her charge. Me. I dressed but did not wear my new or old armor. I headed to the northwest tower to find the alchemist, Decimus. I would take it easy this morning and head out after midday to collect his ingredients. The northwest tower was in a section of the citadel rarely used. Rooms were empty, and dust lined the window sills. A small spiral staircase wound up around the tower's interior. A door was in each floor. I found Decimus on the 3rd floor, the tower's highest. The round room was maybe 30 feet across. Tables and crates were everywhere. The space looked extremely disorganized. Decimus was snoring softly on a cot. The morning light was bleeding through the 4 windows in the room. The crates must be all the new alchemist gear that the Duchess bought him. His face was still dark pink, and he was drooling. I checked out the views. 2 windows looked north and west out into the woods. The east window had obstructed views down into the gardens. The south window gave a view of the city and the river beyond. From this perspective, the city looked a lot smaller. I could see smoke plumes from the encampments of the refugees. The cot creaked, and I turned to find the bald alchemist sitting up. "Morning, Decimus," I greeted him. "Eric, what are you doing here? Is it morning already?" he asked. "It is. I'm here to drop off your crate, although looking at all these crates, I do not think you require it," I observed. "Ah, young legionnaire, that is where you are wrong. More equipment means I can have more processes going at once," he said excitedly. I moved to the table and placed the gear I had transported for him on it. "I was told to check with you to get your ingredients so you can begin your work. I also wanted to ask if you made toothpaste." I turned to face the pink man. He looked confused. "Toothpaste? Do you mean a whitening agent? I can do that, no problem. You just need to fetch me a bucket of goat's milk and urine." Urine? I'm not putting urine in my mouth. "Horse or cow urine is best and easiest to collect," he said as he moved to the first crate and started to work the lid off. "Well, I take that back, because taurine I have consumed. So technically, I have had a lot of piss in my mouth." But not anymore. I'm off piss. "Horse piss and goat's milk whitens teeth?" I asked, a little repulsed. "Once I process it, yes. It should only take a day, but it will take me most of the day to unpack everything here and get things assembled and set up to my satisfaction. I would ask for your help, but you would only slow me down," he said as he carefully unpacked the new glassware the Duchess purchased for him. "I think I will pass on the whitening agent. Is there anything for just bad breath?" I inquired of the alchemist. "Bad breath? There are a dozen different recipes to correct foul breath depending on your flavor preference, and some also have dental restoratives. Do you have any aches?" He did not wait for me to answer before continuing. "I will need a few things I can create from herbs in the garden. You need to extract the oil essence and create a simple base to mix it with a stabilized compound, but I can make you a wash that should cure your bad breath for a day or 2. Should repair a little teeth rot as well. Any particular herb flavoring you prefer?" "Mint," I said firmly. "I can gather that myself from the cook's garden below. Let me write out a list of things that I will need from the local woods. You can forage it for me." I waited while he scrawled out his shopping list and the amounts he wanted for each. There was only two I needed to familiarize myself with. Constantine just called one something else, and the other was actually a truffle, a fungus that grew underground. When I asked him how I was to find the fungus, I got a lengthy explanation. "To find a truffle, you need to search in an area with excellent drainage. The ground should be partially sandy as well. There is a small white flowering plant that prefers the same soil. It is easier to locate and identify because of the white flowers. The plant is the size of your fist, and the flowers have 5 petals and light blue veins. Dig carefully in that area for the truffles." I nodded, but did not think I would be digging for truffles today. I returned to my room to find cold breakfast plates by the window. Irene must have returned while I visited the alchemist and brought breakfast for both of us to share. Oh. I quickly searched her room and the bath for her. For her. She was not here and had probably been required to continue helping with the refugees. I ate both plates and went to the stables to check on Ginger. The stable boy approached me. Legionnaire, we talked with the old healer on your behalf. Since it is not for the Duchess, he asked for 3 gold for the healing on your horse. Is that a lot? I asked the stable hand, but I realized the stupidity of the question. A large copper was probably a lot to the boy. The older boy replied, but he was uncertain himself. A fortune. But I think it is because if he healed your horse, it would use all his ether for the day. At least that is what he implied. Fine, have him come and do it. Do you know where the Goliath is? I asked. The younger one pointed, and I followed his hand. On the far side of the open courtyard, Mavieth was shouldering 3 large packs. I tossed each boy a single copper and went to talk with Mavieth. Mavieth noticed my approach, and his deep voice hit me. You're too late, Eric. Constantine left at first light if you had changed your mind about joining him. I didn't. I was going to offer to go with you, Mavieth, but I have to wait for the city's old healer to care for my horse, I said, standing beside him, feeling small. I will be gone 2 days to deliver this food to your legionnaire companions. Adrian said you had a rough trip and need some rest. I will be fine. He intoned and clapped my shoulder. Be careful out there. With as much food as you are carrying, you would make a delicious target for the refugees, I said to my friend. Friend! Oh. Maybe his eyebrows creased, and then he laughed. Wonderful play of words. His voice boomed. Delicious target because I am carrying food. You have the most interesting sense of wordplay, Eric. He picked up 1 massive backpack and 2 satchels and left the yard. Maybe I want a plushie of him. I want a Mavieth plush, please. So cute. I returned to the stables to wait for the healer and check on Ginger and Atlas. I felt bad Atlas was being replaced, but Ginger was my first. She was also a more impressive warhorse and, I think, smarter than the average horse, but that was perhaps my wishful thinking. The town healer arrived sporting a neatly white-trimmed beard and wearing expensive-looking clothes. He was more well-off than the average citizen. He approached the older stable boy, leading him. Legionnaire, are you the one who wishes your horse healed? I do. I have your requested coin as well. I held up 3 gold for him to see. He squinted and nodded as if he was dubious that I had the coin to pay him. Well, show me to the beast, and I can take a look. She's not a beast. We followed the stable boy, who was excited to see the magic healing as well. Aww. Ginger had her own stall and immediately nudged me for an apple. I rubbed the bridge of her nose, feeding her an apple. Sometimes I think you just like me because I am your sugar daddy. The old man rolled his eyes at me. Right, he said it out loud. Oh my god. I went into the stall and looked at the 3 long, deep claw marks in Ginger's rump. Oof. She craned her neck to watch him. Oh, okay. Retake. She craned her neck to watch him, but did not move. I would hate to have seen whatever did this to your horse. Glad you lived, Legionnaire. He faced me. I can do it. 3 gold to correct the muscles. I do not have enough ether to remove the scarring today. Maybe another day. And for some reason, I doubted his sincerity. He would probably ask for more coins to remove the scars later. But she will be able to be ridden, I asked, while rubbing behind Ginger's ears. Yes, even today. But you should give her an extra meal for the next 2 or 3 days. He held out his hand. He wanted his payment first. I placed the 3 coins in his open palm. He inspected them for a brief moment before moving to do his work. There was nothing to see. He placed both his hands over the scars, and the flesh rippled under his touch. About a minute later, he dropped his hands. He was sweating from the effort. That is never pleasant. I burned out my ether channels in my youth, and channeling that much ether is painful. I reassessed my opinion of the old healer. Burnt mages was something Castile told me about. A mage could only use so much ether in a day. If they took ether restoratives and pushed past this limit, they would damage their ability to funnel ether for magic. This would result in painful use of ether and less ether available during the day. Ginger kicked with a leg that was just healed and seemed happy. She craned her neck. My guess is she had been in pain from the injury, and that was now gone. She nudged the old healer with a powerful neck and knocked him down. Before he could get upset, I told him, "She's thanking you, and so am I." I handed him a fourth gold coin as I helped him up. What the— Eric, calm down! The man left happy, and I saddled up Ginger with the stable boys helping. Soon we were out at the Citadel yard, and Ginger was sprinting energetically through the woods. If a horse could be happy, she was. Aww. Maybe I would let her run a bit before looking for the alchemist's ingredients. We darted down the paths and among the trees. I was deep into the woods when I pulled up. A legionnaire was in the middle of the path carrying a deer on his back. He was familiar to me, and I had not seen him in quite some time. Flavius, hey! The archer from Doranda's company. The last time I had seen him, he was seated behind Master Mage Sebastian on a fire drake, headed off into the swamp to look for the collector. This should be an interesting conversation. It should. Wait, Ginger is a horse? Ginger is Eric's horse, yes. He used to have Ginger. Ginger was the first horse Eric ever rode. And then she— I don't remember what happened to her, but he didn't have him anymore, and then she was sold and stuff, and now he just bought her back. She just found her randomly. They got separated. Yeah, because Eric loves giving Ginger apples and shit. So Eric is like, maybe you just likes me because I give you apples. But he says sugar daddy because Eric is freaky. But yes, Ginger is a horse. Chapter 104. A brief lesson in alchemy. Flavius stood in the path and tossed the deer carcass down with a thud on some grass. He stretched his neck, happy for an excuse to rest. He wiped his hands on nearby grass. Eric, you returned with an alchemist. I dismounted and led Ginger over to Flavius. We did. I am guessing that Sebastian found his brother's collector since you returned. Flavius eyed me carefully, expressionless. No. We spent 3 days looking for it. I was sure we were on the right island, but Sebastian started to doubt me. I was fortunate the Duke's army arrived to tear down the city of Matcha. Right, this is when we were scared that that Sebastian would question a frog that would tell him that it was us who has the collector. Right? Something like, because he could like talk to animals or some shit, and he was like, I don't know, it was some shit like that. Did they really just tear down the outer walls? They must have killed hundreds. I was glad to focus the conversation on something other than the collector. Flavius nodded slowly, maintaining eye contact. I was told that over half the occupying Barbarian army was on the walls. Thousands were killed. And now they are rebuilding the city. Seems like a waste, I stated with remorse, thinking about the citizens who stayed, including Karina, the young bath attendant whose brother was a city guard. No, that may have been the plan, but the Earth Mages moved to the Storm Giant's dig site. Sebastian was ordered to patrol the skies with his fire drake, but he was not happy about it. The Dragon Legion arrived just as I was leaving to relieve him, Flavius said seriously. The Dragon Legion? I thought they were ceremonial for parades and such. I gripped the reins tighter. Things seemed to be escalating on the Eastern Front. Flavius nodded. They are. Not in my lifetime have they ever been called to duty for a campaign. The Emperor is serious about protecting the dig site and does not want the Bardaradian Griffin riders getting close to seeing what they are doing. A huge magic array has also been constructed to prevent scrying as well. An odd silence hung between us. Flavius studied me. I heard about your fight with the Manticores. 3 kills are beyond impressive for you and the Goliath. A pity you did not have a collector for their essence with you. Oh my god, shush! I could tell he was testing me, so I remained as impassive as I could. I agree, but he was mostly Mavith, the Goliath. He is an impressive warrior, I replied, trying to give the Goliath credit and ignore his jab about the collector. His stare intensified, and I started to get a little uncomfortable around Flavius. He was hinting or guessing at something. I tried to break away. I have to supply the new alchemist with ingredients. I will see you back at Citadel. Nice kill, I indicated the deer. Flavius looked down at the deer. Thank you. My father was a woodsman and taught me a fair amount about hunting and tracking prey. Castile has me going out every day and catching what I can to be smoked or salted for the coming winter. The assignment is much better than digging holes with others. Glad you're back, Flavius. I finished the conversation as I mounted and rode off. I could tell the archer scout had suspicions about me. It was on his face and how he spoke and studied me. After a few minutes, I spotted a large patch of bloodgrass and pulled out Decimus' list. It was time to get to work. Riding Ginger saved some time between spotting harvest, but she was also a good watchdog while I worked, pawing the ground to get my attention. The first time was a giant elk in the far distance. An apple reward had her digging into the ground with her hoof every time she noticed something. A raccoon, a massive owl, deer, or even a wolf. Not a dire wolf, just a normal-sized wolf. Each time I gave her a small reward. An apple for the dangerous-looking owl and wolf, and a few pats for the less threatening creatures, accompanied with verbal praise. The list from Decimus was not extensive. It included just 6 ingredients, but in large quantities. My fingernails were black with soil as I worked through the afternoon to complete his list. The only thing I was not able to find were the truffles. I did try to find the white flowers that marked likely spots, but I did not see any sign of them. It was a rather uneventful long afternoon. The air was cool, and I was seeing my first hint that the weather was changing. From what I had been told, the Italian Empire had a short winter. The several provinces had trees changing color, and leaves starting to fall in reds, oranges, yellows, and browns. It was not so different from Earth, and I recognized many types of trees. It was close to sunset, so I rode Ginger back toward the city. The woods near the city had a number of foragers. These were the refugees, as evidenced by their rough clothing. I talked to 2 pairs, and they were harvesting wild onions and tubers. Both were very simple to find and dig up, and I was already aware of how to find both. I spent some time rubbing Ginger down. She did not need more apples for the day, and I noticed Atlas was not there. The stable boy said one of the Duchess' men took Atlas to run messages to another city. The stable boys did not mind me doing their work for them. Personally, I found the task to be relaxing and good therapy, caring for the animal. I even paid one of the stable hands 2 large silver to run to purchase horse grooming kits for me. One would be for the stable boys to use on Ginger, and the other was destined for my dimensional space. I was famished as I went to the dining room for dinner. I had worked hard in the woods and only drank water all day. Castile, Adrian, and Delmar were talking at the head of the table, and I sat near them. Castile nodded to me and asked, "How was your ride today?" I sat diagonally across from Castile. I got about half of what the alchemist wanted. Couldn't find his truffles, though. A servant put a large mug of ale in front of me. I looked for Loreen, but she was not one of the servants in the dining hall. Delmar said between bites, "You need a trained dog to find truffles, and Constantine was supposed to be gathering for the alchemist. Did he go looking for the mage?" I nodded while taking a long pull. Adrian barked. "He's too impatient. We told him that after things settled and we got some healing potions from the alchemist, we would search for the summoner." Delmar sat back and just grunted in shared annoyance. The 3 were clearly not happy with Constantine. I thought he was told to go, not that he chose to do it himself. I tried to divert the conversation. I remembered pigs were used on Earth to find truffles. I asked Castile, "Is there any spell that can find truffles?" Castile smiled. "A few. Simple nature spells, none that I have access to. I actually never heard of a potion requiring truffles. Inquire with the alchemist if it is for his work or a snack." Castile smiled and seemed relaxed for once. She was in control of her short-term destiny, even though a lot was going on. Dante and Benito came and sat at the table, and servants brought our plates and drinks for them. Brought our out plates. I was like, why did they take their used shit and gave it to them? I was so confused, but I read it wrong. Okay. It looked like most of the company was laying markers. Both Dante and Benito had their hair cut and had shaved. I will inquire when I drop today's harvest off with him. What is going on with all the refugees? I asked while attacking the full plate in front of me. Castile answered, We're accepting any and all refugees, with employment guaranteed for able-bodied men. For now, the pay is only lodging and 2 meals for unskilled labor. What about the women and children? I inquired. I saw a number of them in the camps outside the city. They will be fed whether they work or not. We are also trying to find work for them as well, Delmar answered for Castile. Adrian added irritably, We're training more city guards as crime is likely to swell with the refugees' arrival. We ate for a time, and I listened to them discuss the training of the citadel and town guards. The logistics were interesting, are they? Equipping them and training them was the most significant issue, with the cost of the equipment being the biggest hurdle for the poor Duchess. We also only a few of our company in the citadel at a time to train them. Housing them was not an issue. The citadel had room for 500 guards, and 2 aging barracks in the city had room for 200 guards each. Most current city guards lived in personal houses within the city, so the barracks were mostly empty. The city, if you could call it that, only had over 6,000 people. It was modest for the Italian Empire in size, but tiny, from my personal experience. As their conversation faded, I asked, I saw Flavius in the woods today, carrying a deer. Do you want me to hunt while I am out there? I asked, finishing my plate. Delmar answered gruffly, trying to add some levity to his tone. No, do not waste arrows. He shifted in his seat. It is important to get the alchemist working. His steely eyes locking onto me. The healing salves can save a man's life, and if he can truly brew the lesser healing potions, we will be truly blessed by Fortuna. I have an order in for the giant bee honey coming through the capital. Hopefully, the expense was worth it. I knew the honey was the only ingredient we could not source locally for the lesser healing potions. But Eric has honey in his dimensional space. Seeing my empty plate, Castile requested for me to deliver the ingredients. Bring your harvest to the alchemist, and since you do not require time to rest, continue harvesting for him. Let me know what he is also planning to use the truffles for. I climbed the northwest tower and found Decimus still pink-skinned, unpacking and setting up his apparatus. He had lit a few burners, and one table was already starting on one of his processes. I noted that this was the equipment I had transported for him. He looked up, smiling. Even though he was pink and not red, it was still creepy. There were 3 types of mint in the cook's garden. Let me know which one you prefer. He pointed to a table. I walked over to the table and found 3 bundles of leafy stems. I sniffed them all, and they smelled the same. Chew on the leaves. That will be the flavor of your wash, Decimus advised, walking over to me. I did as instructed. The first leaf was peppermint. The second was spearmint, or close to it. I have no idea what that is. The last one had a milder mint taste with a hint of chocolate. That one! Or the peppermint. I pointed to the peppermint. This one will be good for me. How long till the mouthwash is ready? A few days. What did you get me today? He asked eagerly. I unloaded my harvest for the day, and he started sorting, hemming and hawing as he did so. I do not see any truffles, he voiced his disappointment. No, I did not have any luck. Which potion are they needed for? I asked casually. My foot brew. Oh my god. The one that relieves aches and kills foot odor. Do not think of putting it into your mouth to cure your foul breath. I tried. It will induce violent vomiting. He finished sorting and looked up. Not bad. The roots on these 2 blood grasses got damaged, but should be usable. I looked at his maze of glassware. So, what will I be helping you with for 1 day a week? Not for a few weeks, I think, he said, looking over his burgeoning laboratory. It will take me 3 or 4 days to get up, set up, and get some things in process. I will have free time once I get the Duchess quota completed for the healing salve and stamina potions. But I really do need the truffles. The foot treatment was my biggest seller. I did not mention that this city was much poorer than the one we recruited him from. He was taking the peppermint to a work table, and it appeared he was done with me. Before leaving, I asked, "Why does making a potion take so long?" The pink alchemist paused in his work. He looked at me and sized me up. Then he explained. A potion is made up of 3 parts. The emulsion, the active ingredients, and the stabilizer. For example, the basic healing salve uses bloodgrass as the emulsion. Once purified and reduced, it is thick and can be applied topically to wounds. The active ingredients are the compounds that need to be purified from other fungi or flora. If the compounds are not pure enough, the potion will not work as intended, sometimes to the detriment of the person treated. The final part is a stabilizer. I use ruby and sapphire dust mostly. The stabilizer holds the ether I channel into it to harmonize the ingredients and indicates the brew's shelf life. I think he was expecting me to be thoroughly confused. Instead, I asked a question. So, if you add more ruby or sapphire dust, it will have a longer shelf life? The pink head shook violently. If only! No. Too much will toxify the brew, but the shelf life is mostly determined by the purity of the ingredients being used and how well they harmonize. Potions made by a dungeon are perfectly harmonized and last for years or decades. Why don't alchemists just figure out what is in dungeon potions and replicate them? I asked next. You make it sound so simple, but no. Most times, when a dungeon's potions have been successfully deconstructed, the constituent parts were not sourceable. Also, instead of gem dust, they use pure etheric essence. If you have ever seen an essence collector work, then you know sparkling blue smoke is etheric essence, Decimus explained. I looked at his growing expansive array of equipment. So all this is to just pull certain compounds out of plants and fungi. Yes, the heart of alchemy is purification. Your mouthwash is simple. Titurated water soaked in blue mountain flowers, mint and lavender oil for the ingredients, a touch of sapphire dust, and finally activated with ether. It will leave your mouth minty for hours, and even after the minty taste fades, your breath should not stink for a day or 2. The alchemist was starting to get excited at my interest in his profession. It is all fascinating. If you don't mind, could I assist with the mint mouthwash in the evening, so I can follow our process from start to finish? I requested. He was about to say yes, but paused, a sly look on his face. If you find me my truffles, I will teach you all about alchemy. Of course, he would want me to find his truffles. A good deal. Think about socks. I don't feel like I've ever. I've definitely experienced it from others. I have never been told that I haven't. Of course, in the mornings, most people will have, but I think I'm doing quite good. I must say. I've never ever felt that it's like, oh, I need to fix this now. Never. Good for me, I guess. Same. Well, hell yeah. Or maybe I'm just with extremely nice people that don't tell me, and I am not able to tell myself. Who knows? But in my world, I don't. So all good for me. Chapter 105. Truffle Subcontracting. I left the alchemist in the tower, pondering how to find his truffles. With the leaves changing, winter was clearly on its way. How much longer would I be able to harvest for the alchemist? There was still some daylight left, so I paused in the library. If no one was there, I might be able to do some research. The large doors creaked loudly, and I was surprised to find the Duchess and Scholar Fabius inside. Fabian. Sorry. I mixed Flavius and Fabian, I guess. Legionnaire Eric. The Duchess spotted me before I could duck out. Are you looking for me? She sounded almost hopeful. Having ridden next to Fabian for a few days, I knew he could talk endlessly and never seemed to tire. I made an excuse. No, I was just looking for Loreen. I do not know how to draw a hot bath. Ah, most of the servants are in the city. Loreen is with them and will not be back until sunset. the Duchess informed me. But you can help Scholar Fabian until she returns. She turned to the scholar. This legionnaire can help you with bringing the books up and down the stairs. The Duchess escaped past me, nodding her thanks for their relieving her. The scholar smiled. I do not really need help. The Duchess was getting tired of listening to me expound on the variations of the flourishes in Elven script over the centuries. Her collection here is quite remarkable, and she does, as promised, have a number of books from the city of Kaelora. I looked at the number of books spread out on tables before me. The script was nothing even remotely familiar to me. Let me take off some of my armor, and I will help you, scholar. Thank you. These stacks here can go back to the 3rd floor, but I thought he didn't put on any armor. Did he say so when he left? He was like, I didn't put on my legion or the new armor, so what fucking armor did he put on? Or maybe this is another day, but it should be the same, no? Or maybe it's not. Maybe this is another day. It could be another day. There are 2 stacks that need to be brought down. He indicated up to the 3rd floor. I made quick work of exchanging the books. Have you found anything useful? I inquired of the scholar while sitting in a padded reading chair. Not yet, but there are fascinating histories that are thousands of years old. The books were never catalogued and sorted. My guess is they never had an expert on the Elven language. I am doing my best. The script has a lot of embellishments to it, making it difficult to read, but I am slowly becoming accustomed to it. He pointed to an open book. That one so far is the best lead I have found on what the Duchess is looking for. What is she looking for? I asked, looking at the book. There were some amazing sketches of Elven in everyday life, mostly craftsmen. The Duchess wants to know if there is anything of value in the region surrounding Kaelora. If she reopened the trade road, then the Emperor would expand her duchy to include those wild lands. Your mage commander will not commit to the effort unless she knows there is actually something valuable in the lands, the scholar informed me. I'd already heard them discussing this before. And what is so interesting about this book? It looks like mostly crafters, I said, still paging through. It is an index of master crafters of Kaelora from the 4th king's reign. Ninlian Eldarenth. Ninlian Eldarenth. It details the crafters, their professions, and what they were famous for. He walked over to me and turned the page to an artificer blacksmith. This is Nabeira Kinvain. Yeah, a famous blacksmith thousands of years ago. But I'm interested in this passage here, he pointed excitedly. I looked at the unfamiliar scrawl. What does it say? It describes one of her mithril bowls. It could convert water into milk. But that is not the interesting part of the passage. Where the materials for the bowl came from is a dungeon the elves called the Shimmering Labyrinth. The scholar smiled excitedly. I frowned. If I had my choice, I would never go in a dungeon again. Well, that's not gonna happen. What I knew about dungeons was that they appeared over deep ley lines in the earth that fed them, according to Castile. Second, a dungeon could be destroyed, according to the bar. And finally, they were full of horrific monsters. How do you know the dungeon is still active and near Kaelora? I asked with skepticism. Fabian smiled. Because I have found 2 more passages referring to the dungeon. But you are right. The dungeon could have been destroyed over the centuries. I do not think it is one of the 7 dungeons in the Empire. No dungeon in the Empire produces mithril. How would a dungeon remain hidden for so long? I am sure the Empire has already searched the area around Kaelora, I noted. But no one has searched in the city extensively. Do you know how the city was conquered? Fabian asked, slipping into his teacher's voice, which I often heard during our rides. Well, at least I could now recognize people speaking Elvish and say a few phrases from his lessons. One of the phrases I memorized was, "Do not kill me, I surrender." I do not know about the history other than the place is full of specters and wraiths, I replied. The scholar smiled. Over 1500 years ago, the Legion surrounded the city and flooded it with poison gas. They killed thousands of elves. What the Legion did not count on was their horrific act, generating the specters from the dead. They stand eternal guard against the intruders. The Empire has lost a number of expeditions over the centuries. That is why I was excited when I heard there was a collection of books recovered from Kaelora in Sobral. So the dungeon is in the haunted city. Castile will never have us search the city, I responded, half confident. You are smart, Eric. Think about it. Most cities grow up around dungeons for their resources. The number of specters in the city has not diminished in centuries, so it makes sense that there is a ley line underneath the city regenerating them after they are slain, Fabian said clinically. So that means the city can never be retaken. The specters will always come back. If the dungeon is there, it is inaccessible, I rationalized. The old scholar smiled. Oh, there are ways. A kettle of souls, banishment circles, and giving the remains a final rest spell are just a few ways to end the specter's existence permanently. And before you ask, the Emperor never had reason to invest in cleansing the city. I thought about the nightmare wraith that attacked our camp in the middle of the night on our way here the entire time that I helped the old scholar ferry books up and down the stairs as he searched for more clues. He continued to help me practice the Elven language as we worked. I never thought I would have a chance to talk with an elf, but it was something to do to keep my mind off the possibility of entering a city full of specters. I eventually left Scholar Fabian deep into the night. I carried my armor to my room and found Loreen asleep in my bed. She looked exhausted, and I tried not to wake her. I took a cold bath and then joined her in bed. She did not stir, so I rolled over and sighed, quickly falling asleep. The sigh. Okay, thank you so much for joining though. Happy you caught your first stream. Fun to see new people. And old people. I mean, it's just, you're both at the same time. Anyway, thank you so much for joining. Have a nice rest of your day. In the morning, Loreen woke me with a kiss. We both definitely needed that peppermint wash. After a prolonged kiss, she said, Why did you not wake me? You looked exhausted. What did you do in the city yesterday? I asked, showing genuine interest. Meal distribution for the women and children. More and more showing up every day. One of the children said he saw dragon riders in the sky, she said in disbelief. It is true. Flavius said the Dragon Legion was sent to the Eastern Front, I replied. She looked concerned and confused. That is not possible. They did not fight in the wars. She sat up in bed, suddenly on alert. They are scouting for an excavation being done by the Scholarium, I informed her. I do not think they will be going into direct combat, but I cannot say for sure. Some relief came over her face, and I could figure out why she had been concerned. I asked her, Do you know one of the riders? Her face flushed from the grey light of the morning coming through the window. She nodded. I did not think she would say more, but she did. We are the same age and in the classes together in the Emperor's palace. He had enough potential to be a dragon rider and was training his drake when I came here with the Duchess Veronica. I did not need to ask if there was something between them. That already seemed evident. I relaxed, disappointed on my side. Have you heard from him since you arrived in Sobral? Maybe the relationship was platonic. 2 letters, Loreen said with some excitement. She completely missed the fact that I was maybe jealous. Oh no. He had passed the flight trials with his drake in the first letter. In the second letter, he told me what it was like to fly on a drake. He hoped that I could one day see him fly during an emperor celebration, she said in fascination. Great. I was competing against a dragon rider. I rolled out of bed and started dressing, and Loreen did not take the hint. She asked, Are you going riding north again? Yeah, just a few miles from the wall. I am responsible for supplying the alchemist with material, I replied as I started to put on my old armor again today. Why don't you wear your new armor? Loreen asked, smiling. Oblivious to my jealousy. I was excited to see you in it. And then removing it. Loreen, not now. I am saving it for a special occasion. If I connect with Mavieth, I will probably stay at his residence tonight. I need to arrange further to keep up my harvest quotas, I said neutrally. Wow, now he's pissed. I geared up with my weapons and carried my spear to the stables. I had never been good at relationships and just needed some space. I mean, Eric, this is not a relationship. Eric, please. Oh no. Ginger was excited to see me. As I was saddling her, Mavius walked into the stables. Want company today? I do, Mavius. Do you know where I can find truffles? I asked as I worked on Ginger. Black or white? I have a bunch of white stored for winter. The black tastes too much like dirt to me. His deep voice sounded like he was imparting culinary wisdom to me. Either. The alchemist did not specify, but said they grew near white flowers, I replied. The white, then, he answered and nodded. We can discuss compensation for them. Certainly, I said, relieved. I wouldn't mind purchasing your weasel pelts in your guest room as well. How did you find your truffles? Maviot shrugged. The wild boars usually dig up the ground when they find them. They do not get them at all, and I get a few. Okay. Pigs! I knew it! I exclaimed. No, boar, Maviot corrected me. I did not bother to explain. They were the same thing. We walked out of the gates. I was slightly annoyed that even though I was mounted, I was barely taller than the Goliath. We walked in silence before I asked, How are the company men doing with digging holes? Maviot laughed. Good. They had some choice words that you had not participated in the shovel excavation work yet. Brutus said you were too important to come out there yourself and get your hands dirty digging holes. I do not think he believed me when I told him you killed an adult manticore. I tried to say it as plainly as I could. Can you not tell people I killed a female? Mavius was at eye level with me and considered my request. There was a long pause, and he made eye contact with me. I understand, Eric. I will not tell anyone else. Not many people trust others who use poison. I know Flavius was very interested in your kill as well. I told him you used poison to kill the creature. He asked to see the corpse, but it was already 2 days dead when Constantine and Flavius arrived. Thank you, Mavius. Just take credit for the kill, I said. I could not do that. I will just not tell them you used poison, he said firmly, closing the matter. A minute later he asked, What type of poison did you use anyway? None of the scavengers that fed on the corpse was killed by it. I did not want to get caught in a lie. It doesn't matter, but it targets the heart, stops it from beating. Maviot nodded like it had made perfect sense to him. We spent the trip to his cabin looking for and harvesting ingredients for the alchemist. It was dusk when we finally got to his residence. He had manticore hides stretched outside on racks, and the odor was terrible. Do you want to learn how to prepare hides? Maviot asked, moving to check on his projects. No, I'm going to clean up at the stream and see if I can get the dirt out from under my nails before sleeping. In the morning, we can discuss compensation for the pelts and truffles, I said, dropping my pack and starting to unsaddle Ginger. After rubbing down Ginger and cleaning my hands, I went inside the house, and she tried to follow. Maviot immediately said, I do not know about stabling her inside, Eric. I realized it might not be safe outside for Ginger alone. I tried to joke with Maviot. It is okay. She is housebroken. Housebroken. He puzzled out the phrase. Then it's okay. He nodded his permission. Oh! I whispered to Ginger. You better not soil Maviot's floor. I do not want to be cleaning up in the morning. I walked her until she did her business and then brought her inside. I would be crossing my fingers all night. I left Ginger in the common room and slid into the silky weasel pelts. I was definitely going to purchase these for Maviot tomorrow. I took out my amulet and channeled Ether into it. Oh. Can't trust these women, Eric. Castile is the only one for you. We haven't seen Castile in a while. No, did we talk to Castile? I feel like we did at dinner, right? She was there. Yeah. She laughed at something, and I was like, oh. Let's hope the Ginger not shits inside. The Ginger doesn't shit inside. Poor Mavius, if that's the case. Oh, and Eric, and Ginger. Poor everyone. Ginger, just be nice. You can do it. I believe in you. We will see if she can hold it next time. What a stupid end. Okay. I do feel my throat a little. Ginger is the only girl for Eric. So it will be nice and listen to it. So that I don't have any issues. So we will not do more today. Sad no Valhalla. We will miss it for 2 days. Then we will be back, hopefully stronger. I really don't want to get sick. Please. Oosh. And I've had nightmares 2 nights in a row now. Not nice. Tonight I even had 2 nightmares. It's not boding well. And I felt very warm. Not good. I think I'll go out for a walk and then take a nice shower, and that will be it. But okay, then we will end here instead. Get some rest. Which many of you